So for this session, I'm speaking to Matt Buckland and Jamie French, who are fresh back from Las Vegas. How's the jet lag?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Still broken.
Yeah. Okay.
It was worse on the way over for me.
Yeah. Do you want to just introduce yourselves and let everybody know what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jamie French, Senior Site Reliability Engineer.
Okay.
Have been for the last come up for 2 years now.
Okay.
For Claranet, so
Okay. Matt?
Yeah, I'm the same, Matt Buckland, Senior Site Reliability Engineer for about 2.5 years. I've been with Claranet for like ages now, 10.5 years.
Yeah. And what does that mean? What do you actually do on a daily basis?
We help our customers either move stuff from on-prem into the cloud, or we build do greenfield projects and build new systems for them in the cloud.
And so Las Vegas, that was with the conference for the reInvent conference that you went to.
Yeah.
How was Las Vegas to begin with? Have you been there before?
never been to America, and obviously never been to Vegas, and the magnitude of everything was just immense. In terms of Vegas and the conference, it was huge. Yeah,
Okay.
really good. Yeah, different, but yeah, huge.
Good. And you were talking about some numbers related to the conference.
Yeah, I mean, it was massive, and like Jamie, I'd never been to the US either, so it was kind of a baptism of fire. Like the first place you land in the US is Las Vegas, and everything's massive and ridiculous.
Lights.
The event itself was huge. It was 53,000 people.
by the end of the day, yeah.
It was spread over 7 different venues, and these venues are not small things. They're like little mini cities indoors, basically. You can spend 20 minutes walking from the entrance to the casino through to where the actual conference is. So yeah, the scale of it's ridiculous. And there was, I think, 3,500 different talks on loads of different subjects. Yeah, it's big. It's just big.
You have to plan
Really
your
big.
days out very, very well, because if you're at one end of the strip, it could take you an hour to get to the other end of the strip, literally. So to get out the building to then walk down to the strip. So it's, there were shuttles and everything provided, but yeah, lots of walking involved.
Yeah, I got the shuttle once, but we got stuck in traffic because there was a Metallica concert on.
And what was your role there? Was it a fact-finding trip, or what were you sent there to do?
Really just to represent Claranet from the UK, because there was Brazil, Portugal, Italy and France also representing Claranet. So it was a really good time to meet the other guys, the other teams, see what they're up to, sessions they're interested in. So yeah, it was, and obviously all the new releases and subjects that we were going there for.
Yeah. Okay. And so what was the emphasis of the talks, or what people were talking about? What did you pick up while you were there?
There was a lot of emphasis on serverless, serverless infrastructure, and databases,
security and machine
learning.
The biggest things that were basically on Twitter as well. That was the biggest things that come from reInvent. They were I think it's 4 subjects in all that were really up there.
Yeah, there was lots of talks around databases and different types of databases, because back in, like 20 years ago there was just relational databases, and there were a few different flavors of those. You had Oracle, MySQL, Postgres, whatever, and that was pretty much your data storage tool. That was what you had. But nowadays there's key value stores, there's graph databases. Yeah,
exactly.
We sort of talk on
Time
graph
stream,
databases, but it doesn't make sense to me yet.
Yeah. There's lots of different flavors now, and I think that's what Amazon are really doing, is just providing as many services, so if the customers ask for it, they deliver.
Okay. So thinking about the conference, is there anything that you took away that was either a surprise or new for you? What's your thoughts?
I don't think if it was a massive surprise. I think a lot of it was just more of the emphasis. So didn't attend last year, but I think there was a lot more emphasis on containers. But this year, it's more emphasis on serverless, machine learning, AI, security, and databases. Okay. So that's the big key areas.
And what does that trend mean?
I think what that means so at the moment, the way we work is we deploy infrastructure for the customer, so the customer doesn't have to worry about deploying the infrastructure themselves, and they can just worry about their business case and also their application. But serverless kind of abstracts it away even further. So what you're getting is where we're deploying infrastructure at the moment, we're now dealing with it in a slightly different way, where the serverless stuff is all managed by AWS. It's really how we plumb those services together for the customer, and how we take advantage of that as well.
Yeah, they're giving us more and more like Lego bricks to build stuff with, essentially, and they're so things that would traditionally be managed by us, like running an Elasticsearch cluster, for example. I mean, this was released a few years ago, but running an Elasticsearch cluster is a pain, and they see that problem and they go, okay, we're going to wrap this up and make it into a service for you. So that's good for AWS because they get more money because we can pay them, but it's also good for us and good for our customers because it provides a really reliable service. It means we have to spend less time building infrastructure for them, and we can focus more on helping them get their deployment pipelines in place. There's more and more of these becoming available. Like there's Kafka, hosted Kafka, which is a streaming data service. A lot of people are excited about this in the big data world.
So what are the day-to-day implications of everything that you're talking about in the way that businesses can improve what they do?
Well, they can deploy their code quicker and get it live quicker to their customers and deploy their services quicker. They can also change those services and update them quicker and iterate faster. So if they see something's not working, they can quickly try something else. There's a lot less overhead in building a product now. You can build a service much faster and test it out, and if it doesn't work, throw it away and make a new one that does work.
Yeah, that's how you see it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it really is about it's about moving again away from the infrastructure, so the customer only has to worry about their product, their application, what they're bringing to the market. So if they can bring that to the market quicker, with less overhead, reducing operational costs, and then failing faster than that. So if it doesn't work, and if it's serverless, then it's a win.
And how does all of this change what you guys do day to day?
It's quite a significant change, really, because we're currently we deliver the infrastructure that essentially Amazon are abstracting away. So the more Amazon will deliver to the market, the more services they bring, that abstracts what we do. So there's not a necessity for us to do that. But what that does is it kind of realigns our focus on what we will be doing for our customers, and that will be working with the new services, bringing those services together, and really just kind of expediting again the application deployment and the management of those applications.
So it doesn't mean that you're out of a job.
No, it's just a realignment of focus, really. I think.
We'll need to keep learning.
I
mean, there's all this new stuff they've released. We need to keep up to date with all that stuff. And they're blurring the lines a lot between now what is infrastructure and what is application. So it used to be fairly clear. Infrastructure was basically servers, and now infrastructure seems to be anything that you manage with Terraform or something like that, or anything that you can write as code and deploy, make it deployed. But now, with the machine learning services, that's more of an application level service. So that's something that you'd write into your application, and you'd then call APIs to use those services, rather than just deploying a thing and have it run. Does that make sense?
And so if you were to boil it down, what kind of value do you see yourselves adding now, as opposed to what you were doing before? What are you bringing to the party now?
I think that comes from the learning. We will always be a step ahead, or try to be a step ahead of the curve, really. And through that knowledge, that enables us to basically then deliver or piece these services together. And that's probably going to be the hardest bit, because there's such a plethora of services that AWS offer now. It's how you piece all of those services together, what works, what's the most cost effective. And that's where some customers are struggling. You've got this vast array of services. What do you do with them? How do we piece it together? and I think that's where our value will come from, really, and the expertise surrounding that.
Even if it's not specifically the work that we're doing, like we may go into a customer site and build a classic infrastructure thing, and they'll just ask us, what do you think about this new service? Or we might see an opportunity to tell them about this new service, and that will just keep them thinking, oh yeah, these guys know what they're talking about. So it keeps us in the consultancy.
Yeah, and on that basis, with the average customer, what level of skill and knowledge are you seeing in-house in this kind of area?
That's really interesting, because a lot of the good conversations at re:Invent was with actually customers, not our customers, but the struggles that people were having. So one thing that was really apparent to me is now customers are really, a lot of customers are really confident at deploying infrastructure, using Terraform, and they're doing that in-house. Some of them obviously still using MSP, which is great, but the struggle for those guys are really, they've got this application, but it's how they deploy that application, how they manage it, how they monitor it, and also adopting more services from Amazon, so they're not having to rewrite things, they're not having to do things more and more. It's really just making it smaller, I suppose. I don't really know how to describe that. Yeah.
That's fine. I hear that one of the headlines from the event was the well-architected reviews. Talk to me a little bit about that.
So the well-architected reviews are based on 5 pillars that AWS have defined.
You're not reading from the screen.
Security, reliability, cost optimization, performance efficiency, and operational excellence.
What does all that mean?
That means, so these are just categories where you can assess how well you're doing, how well your infrastructure matches those things. Like how secure is your infrastructure? How cost efficient is it? You may be running too many servers for what you need. You maybe run smaller instances, for example, things like this.
So it's all about doing it better or doing it right.
Yeah, so the review itself isn't about necessarily fixing things. It's just about saying, have you met all the criteria to pass, to have a good pass on each of those pillars. So are you optimized for cost? Well, probably not, because there's always some optimizations to be made.
I think it's more and more important as more customers adopt more services from AWS. It's making sure that they've obviously done it correctly. It's just that reassurance or that competency that reinforces that it's been conducted correctly, it's been deployed correctly, for all of the reasons that Matt said. And working with a partner and with the well-architected review, that will determine whether that has actually been done. And it's a really quite simple process, but a very much worthwhile one.
Looking to the future, what would you expect to be taking place at re:Invent next year? I mean, where do we go? What happens next?
That is amazing. Yeah, I think again there was a lot of emphasis on the machine learning. So this year they released Deep Racer, which was a radio controlled car. Essentially, it was like 1/18 of a scale, but that's all about reinforced learning, which is a kind of a machine learning on steroids, really, isn't it? And where the machine learning is going to go is going to be impressive for next year. There's going to be lots and lots of races throughout Europe and the world, apparently, with this car. But the emphasis is more about the machine learning and the algorithms and how you teach or learn.
I think maybe part of the problem with ML stuff is nobody really knows what to apply it to, or which data do you train, which outcomes do you positively reinforce for your machine? What do you get it to recognize as a positive outcome, and what data do you feed it in to get there? And the Deep Racer thing, it seems like it's a bit of a toy, but actually it's really clever, because they've now given a demo application. Oh, here's something fun you can do with machine learning. People will go, oh, I'll give that a go and play with it, and then that will make people think, oh, this is this is how ML works. This is how the training data works. This is how I set things up, and that may give them an idea of how to apply it to a more useful business case.
So thanks for joining the session. It was really interesting, thank you, and there's plenty more to come. And if you want any more information now, go to insight.claranet.co.uk. Thank you.